book fans, and welcome to another exciting edition of Cammy's Comic Corner. I'm your host, as always, Cammy. Now, unfortunately, I didn't find anything pick-worthy this week, but I did have a Fast Five put together. So, let's get on to that Fast Five. But don't worry, it's not just Fast Five. I've got tons of announcements and things to talk about at the end of the so-called Fast Five. Let's see how fast we can get this five really going. First up, from Vertigo Entertainment, we have Scalped number 22. Now, this was a nice issue seeing the past of Chief Red Crow and Gina Badhorse. Those two, you thought Dashiell and Red Crow's daughter were fucking like crazy? My goodness. Dashiell's mom, Gina, and Red Crow, they do it a lot, and it's very graphic. We find out about Chief Red Crow, or just Red Crow back then, and his political movement about having, Native American power and fighting against the FBI. Turns out in the end of the issue, we find out that present-day Chief Red Crow learns of an FBI agent is on his reservation undercover. He doesn't know who it is yet, but I'm pretty sure he's eager to find out sooner than later. As usual, Scalped is always a good read. Next up, from Icon Entertainment, more criminal stuff. We have Criminal Volume 2, Number 6. Now, this is part 3 of 4 in this current story arc, where we follow Jacob and Iris, fresh off from where we left them last issue, where they're disposing of a dead body and going their separate ways with the money they've currently inherited. The dirty money that people are going to be coming after them looking for if they don't play their cards right. Now, in this issue, we find out that Jacob is a little paranoid about Iris, especially since she doesn't call him back for a few days, so he decides to track her down to find out, make sure she's okay, because he obviously has feelings for her. Turns out this whole goddamn thing is a setup. Detective Starr, the detective that's been on his ass ever since his wife died, turns out he is in cahoots with Iris, and they're out playing him like a pawn. They're playing him like a two-bit fiddle. Now, next, the final conclusion, Jacob might have to get nasty, or dirty, either or. Tune in next issue to find out more. Next up, from Devil's Due Publishing, we have Rest number 1. And this is a creation by Milo Ventimiglia. He's the guy who plays Peter Petrelli on Heroes. Obviously, he caught the comic book bug, and going to all these Comic-Cons and different conventions probably got him saying, you know what, I bet I could write my own comic book. So, as long as Tim Sale is doing covers, he's having this little story unfold. Basically, we follow this guy, John Barrett, who works for pharmaceutical companies, kind of on the lower end, kind of like a telemarketer. Well, he runs into his old friend, who's apparently higher up on the company, and his old friend tells him about this new wonder drug that all you have to do is take a pill, and you don't feel tired at all. Because humans, this is a statistic, human beings waste 1/3 of their life sleeping. And, I want my fucking money back too. I want to be able to do stuff all hours of the night. Look at Hunter S. Thompson. That guy never slept. He was awake. Anyway. So, basically, he convinces his friend John to, be a guinea pig for this project and even try the pills out himself. But something doesn't smell right. I'm assuming John's going to come into some complications with the pills and maybe even have superpowers. I don't know which way this book is going yet, but it still got me interested. And that Tim Sale cover, that attracted me like a moth to the flame as well. Can't go wrong with Tim Sale. Next up, from Marvel Entertainment, we have New Avengers number 46. Now, if you're like me, you've been wondering, what the hell's been happening to the Hood among all this Secret Invasion nonsense? Well, finally we get one of those good New Avenger, Mighty Avenger issues where, it's a backstory and it's actually something that makes sense or we care about. We follow the Hood and his whole little gang of villains as they torture one S.H.I.E.L.D. agent to reveal all the secrets about the Skrulls, being how the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent is a Skrull. Skrull doesn't tell them much, but they find out that they have one Skrull in their own ranks. And they come to the conclusion that, with all the heroes out fighting the Skrulls, if the Skrulls wipe out the heroes, then the bad guys, they're out of a job. So they should probably side with the heroes this one time, which they do in Secret Invasion. And this is their reason. And the Hood has some more questions of his own that he's asking his demon mentor, the guy who gave him the Hood, for more information. And finally this week from DC Comics we have Superman New Krypton Special, number 1. I don't know why they label it number 1, because it's only a one-time thing. It's a one-shot. Basically, you get for $4, you get to see the new origin of New Krypton, and how in the last Brainiac story arc, he released New Krypton up into the Fortress of Solitude, and now there's roughly 100,000 Kryptonians all activating their superpowers under a yellow sun and flying around. Earth isn't so keen on Kryptonians, especially after, Zod and that whole saga that Jeff Johns and Richard Donner did. So this might take some getting used to for us human beings. Also, Brainiac is scooped up by the government, a secret government facility run by presumably dead General Lane. That's right, Lois Lane's father. Apparently the guy's still alive, faked his death. Now he's working on this whole Brainiac project. And he's drafted Lex Luthor. Fun times up ahead for the Superman family. But there was a nice heartfelt moment when Kara reunited with her parents on New Krypton. That was the feel-good moment after, finding out that Clark Kent's dad died, thanks to Brainiac. So, that's all for the Fast Five this week. Now on to two books that came out this week. Secret Invasion number 7 and Final Crisis number 4. Both of these have been, the events for both the major companies. And both weren't even, I didn't even consider them Fast Five worthy. Final Crisis, I am just no clue. I am still lost. I am so lost in this series. I feel like I need to take whatever drugs Grant Morrison is currently on just to understand and go, oh my god, it is brilliant! Because just like Batman R.A.P., it's just not working for me, Grant. I'm sorry, but maybe you'll win me back in the next, last couple of issues. I can only hope, right? And as for Secret Invasion number 7, that didn't really win me over as strongly either. Pretty much, there's the big fight that was the cliffhanger from last issue, and lots of Skrulls are dying, not that many heroes are dying, and there's one scene in particular that I kind of had a problem with. If you were to read Thunderbolts this week and Secret Invasion, there's this one scene regarding Bullseye taking out a giant Hank Pym Skrull. And I could just be nitpicking, but in both issues they had different weapons for Bullseye. And in Thunderbolts they had some of the same dialogue from Secret Invasion number 7. So Christos Gage should be crediting Brian Michael Bendis at least, because it was just okay, really? Anyway, so Final Crisis, confusing, Secret Invasion, not that much better, but you get some Leinil Yu art, and that's always pretty. So, So that does it for the Fast Five and Comic Talk this week. Be sure to tune in next week while I do a political episode. Just politics and comics. It's not going to be anything brutal. I'm not going to be biased about any one candidate. But, it's with the elections coming up and everyone in the nation watching, might as well do an episode about, politics and comics. I just thought it was a good idea. It could be a horrible, horrible episode. I don't know. We'll just have to experiment. Like in high school. Anyway, this has been Cammy's Comic Corner. If you want more comic goodness, go to Cammy'sComicCorner.com. From there you can subscribe to us on RSS feed or on iTunes. Or you can just be our friend on MySpace or on YouTube. www.Cammy'sComicCorner.com. That does it this week for comics. I've been your host, Cammy. Sorry, not much to talk about this week. But I hope to see you here next week. Because I need friends. Good night, people!